Yay, it's working. Okay, we're good.
Is it?
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's got a little recording thing in the corner, so
Oh, okay.
perfect.
Sweet.
Okay.
So I think we have quite a bit to talk about.
Yeah. Well, our group was responsible for reading Ontario Ministry of Education towards defining 21st century competencies for Ontario, and the BC's Applied Design Skills and Technologies curriculum.
So the first thing it says is to define and explain 21st century competencies, right?
Yep.
I would kind of just like to simply define it. I'd say it's like just like one step further than a skill, because skills like you don't necessarily have to work hard at to be good at. But with competencies, it's really about understanding and comprehending what you're doing.
Yeah. I kind of like what they have, the little blurbs that they have in the text on page, whatever this is, page 11. A competency is more than just knowledge or skills. It involves the ability to meet complex demands by drawing on and mobilizing physiosocial resources, including skills and attitudes in a particular context.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the example that they give is drawing on an individual's knowledge of language, practical IT skills, and attitudes towards those with whom he or she is communicating. So it's like having a skill is being good at doing something.
Yeah.
The competency is like being good at it, but also understanding it in a deeper sense so that when you're talking to someone, you can actually explain what it is.
Yeah, and like be able to apply it.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have anything to add on that?
That explained it pretty well.
Okay. So why are they important?
Does anybody else want to touch on why they're important?
No?
No.
All right, I guess we can move on. So the next point says, how might addressing 21st century competencies impact learning and pedagogy in Canadian classrooms?
Well, it's more about like, rather than just teaching your students how to understand something and how to be good at it, make them like know more about it. So in math, a lot of times students are just like, I don't understand why we're learning this. Like, what is this good for? So kind of getting them to understand what it's good for.
Mm-hmm.
There's like that list, or like, what's it for? Like measure benefits for multiple areas of life, or whatever. So it has like critical thinking, communication, collaboration, creativity, and innovation. So like those can be applicable to any outcomes or any lessons or anything like that that you're using like in the classroom. I guess, like even critical thinking, like that's applicable in the classroom in any subject, and then also in like the world outside, like after or whatever.
Yeah, I think so too. Kind of like when students have something that, like if they know what they're doing it for, like if they have a meaning to do it, I kind of think it gives them a better drive to actually want to learn.
Yeah.
Do assignments and so forth if it's actually important and they can understand why.
And a lot of what they talk about for competencies is just kind of being able to use it in everyday conversation. So it's the deeper understanding so you can talk about it with your peers.
Okay.
Anything else to add?
The question, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Like, no, I think you're right. I think it just, the question was like addressing 21st century competencies in learning and pedagogy in Canadian classrooms specifically, I guess. So
Yeah.
So is it asking for like Canadian as in opposed to other countries, do you think?
I think it just wants us to talk about the classroom.
Okay, so how do the board-based policies reviewed reflect to the 21st century competencies as outlined in the Canadians for 21st century learning and innovation, or towards defining 21st century competencies for Ontario document? So which were those policies? Does anyone have the document up?
I do. I actually don't know where to find this.
yeah, I don't remember that.
Is it asking like what Ontario's doing?
Well, like I think partly, but because it's saying because it's talking about the board-based policies to be reviewed, but I don't remember reading that.
Yeah.
I'll
Does
look and
anybody else have the document pulled up? Because I'm thinking it's what's on page 29.
the Ontario one, right?
Yeah.
I'll go to page 29 and see.
Because that's pretty much the only thing that I've found that's talking about like school boards.
Like the in June 2015, the ministry, that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Hold up. There's also Section 5 is strictly implications for policy.
Oh, like right underneath it there?
No, it's on page 48, Section 5.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
I think that's what they mean.
Yeah, it must be.
Because these are actual policies.
Yeah. Yeah, so it has. Does everyone have it pulled up or no?
The implications for policy section?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking
Yeah.
about? Okay.
So it has. So it says the following categories for 21st century competencies have been shown to have measurable benefits in multiple areas of life. And then it just lists. So it says critical thinking and problem solving, innovation, creativity and entrepreneurship, communication, collaboration and teamwork, a growth mindset, slash metacognition, learning to learn, perseverance and resilience, and local, global, and digital citizenship. So those are what it lists. So I guess you have to say how it reflects competencies. Well, I think that's like kind of a lot of what we talked about with competencies, in the sense that it's like not just about skill, but about like putting what you learn to use. Like the critical thinking and problem solving skills, and like innovating and creating.
Well, at the top, it says, like, number 1 in green, it says there are many different approaches to representing 21st century competencies in no single best framework that is applicable to all circumstances. Ontario needs to reconcile the different approaches and develop an evidence-based framework that will meet the needs of Ontario educators and students. Such a competency framework would continue to recognize the important foundational skills of literacy and numeracy and core learning in other subject areas. It would be reviewed periodically as we continue to learn our way in this dynamic field. And so I think that's like the actual policy, or like the starting of the policy.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of asking how that represents 21st century competency. Or, yeah, is that what it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I guess because like what curriculum is trying to do is to kind of lead students in that mind frame of it's not just about like the grade you get on a test, but it's about actually understanding
Yeah.
like what you're learning about.
Well, and the good thing about this piece is that it's all about like learning and evolving and changing constantly,
Mm-hmm.
not just kind of we'll get to one point and that's it. We're done.
Yeah, like a static.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Yeah,
kind of shows like a competency in itself that the people who are creating the Ontario curriculum have realized that you can't just not a one and done kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's we need to constantly be changing this and evolving it and making sure that it fits the needs of the students that we have at all times.
I think that goes along with the whole like technology thing too, in the sense that with having like digital technology, it's easier to kind of teach students based on their needs versus just like a one way for every student. Because yeah, like every student learns differently, and so there should be multiple approaches. So I think that kind of ties in with it too. Does anyone else have anything to say?
Nope.
Okay.
I'll just add like the fourth one there is talks about corresponding realignment of assessment policies and practices, which I think is really important too. And even in this class, like we notice like that we're using different forms of assessment, like and like she's letting us kind of help with the assessment more now, which seems to be a thing that I've been noticing a lot more in education classes, is that we should let like students be have a say in like what they're being assessed on, kind of. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like the point is like, what are next steps in developing and implementing new assessment practices that align with new pedagogies for deep learning, including new technology-enabled pedagogies? So it's just like along with like curriculum and learning changing, how can assessment change along with that?
Yeah.
Well, and assessment also has to change with technology as well. So you basically have to work with what technology you do have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is kind of getting into the next thing we're supposed to talk about, but even with, because when I was looking at the curriculums for other provinces, how like in all of them technology is tied in with like marking rubrics even and things like that. And I think in that sense, I think I read it somewhere, I don't remember, but that Saskatchewan is behind a lot of provinces technology wise.
Extremely so.
Yeah. So for the meeting time, is it going to cut us off in 10 minutes?
I don't think so.
On my screen, it says remaining meeting time, 9 minutes and 40 seconds.
Oh yeah.
Okay, then you might have to start another meeting after this one time's out.
Oh.
That
Oh,
makes it.
awesome.
I don't know. They were just like, here's a gift. We're going to take off the 40-minute like limit on your thing. And I was like,
Oh,
okay, cool.
Oh, thank you.
That's
Nice.
cool. So now we can keep going.
Awesome. All right. So what part were we at then?
I
Well, you
think
had touched on the differences between different provinces' curriculum.
Right. So was that the next point? Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So does anyone have anything else that they found interesting or
Well, I
stood
was
out?
kind of scrolling through the BC curriculum, and it's kind of like a little mind-blowing, a little bit. Like they have business education, home economics and culinary arts, information and communications technology, and then just straight technology education.
Yeah, that was for BC, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah, they had so much stuff with technology. Like so many different options.
doesn't even have technology in their curriculum. Like the
Yeah.
most that they have is the resources that you can look at. Or maybe one of the outcomes or indicators is specifically like use technology to do blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or it like encourages teachers to use technology, but there's no actual, like outcome for it.
This one they've got like electronics and robotics and power technology, and it's like, wow, okay, this is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you get higher into the grades, it gets even more centralized.
Yeah.
They have an engineering class for grade 11. I know nothing about engineering, but that's because I didn't have the opportunity to take an engineering class.
Yeah. So are your guys' high schools? Oh, sorry, you can go.
I was gonna say, are you guys like freshly graduated out of high school?
I am.
I
No.
graduated in 2016.
Okay. So compared to that, it was really different, like what was offered?
Well, yeah, like what was offered at your guys' schools for technology?
Well, I went to a school that was a K-12 school with 100 kids in it. So there was 11 other people in my grade 12 class.
Oh.
The most like technologically advanced classes that we got offered were just like, if you want to take a higher math class, you have to do it online. Like, wow, okay. I don't want to do calculus online.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'll enjoy that very much. But like, their grade 12 curriculum is art, metal, and jewelry. Like, what the?
Yeah, at my school we had like a couple technology classes, like if you count photography or graphic arts, we had that.
We had communications media, which is
Yeah, we had a communication media. And then we had a computer science. But that I think was only offered for grade 12s.
furniture.
Yeah, not really much else. Like nothing compared to what was on like the BC curriculum.
Whoa. Okay, this is really cool. I actually like clicked on one of the PDF files that they have for their furniture and cabinetry class. I want to learn how to make furniture
Me too.
and get credit for it. Like, what the heck? Why am I not given these opportunities? And this class literally says it's for 2019. Like, a bunch of these documents have just recently been updated. We have curriculum in the Saskatchewan online that hasn't been updated since 1965.
Yeah.
There's a piece of the geography curriculum that still has like the USSR. That hasn't been a thing for so long. And it's in the curriculum. Like, that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, we definitely need some change for sure.
I know that right now the arts curriculum is in the midst of being changed because I'm an arts ed student, and pretty much every one of my arts ed professors is just like, yeah, we're on the board to make the new Saskatchewan curriculum. And okay.
Do you know what's being changed for it?
They're rewriting the whole, like, all of the arts curriculum.
Oh, like the entire thing.
Mm-hmm. From K to 12, they're rewriting all of the arts.
Hmm.
But it's going to be a long time before we even get close to this.
Yeah, I guess that would probably take a long time to revise.
Because even if they had, like, an art and metal jewelry class that was offered, there wouldn't even be a curriculum for it because it would take them, like, 5 years to even think of it.
Yeah.
I think why there's like such a big difference too is our population is just maybe too small to offer so many different classes.
That was what I was gonna say too. Like in my, like I grew up in Swift Current, and like we had like options for these classes, but if like they had to reach a certain number of students that were actually like signed up for that class, or else they
Yeah.
cut it and you had to find something else. Like there's just, without the resources or like the teachers available
Mhm.
to teach, you know, like the 3 students that want to take it, it just wouldn't work.
Yeah, that's
Well,
fair.
my thing is, like, most classes are like that because I doubt every school in BC offers all of these courses.
Yeah.
It's just the fact
Yeah.
that they actually have curriculum for it. Saskatchewan
That's
doesn't
fair.
have that. Like, even if the course was offered, the curriculum was created specifically for whatever school was teaching it.
Mhm.
It was the teacher that created the curriculum and all of the courses and everything. There was no guidelines set out for what you had to teach if you taught a drafting class to a group of grade 12s. It was just you taught whatever you felt like because there was no guideline.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's fair.
So the fact that BC is at this point where they have enough, I don't even know how to word that, but they're at the point where they have the curriculum for it, so there is actually a guideline. So if you do want to teach the class, you just have to go in and click on Electronics 12, PDF, and there's your curriculum.
Yeah, I think too, like with what Brianna was saying of how like you have to have the kids that are interested in it. Obviously, yeah, with like a bigger school, you're gonna have more people that are interested, but I think with just the way that technology is progressing, like whether they're interested or not, I think it's kind of important to teach it just because that's how kids are growing up and that's what's kind of gonna like help their futures by knowing some of those skills. And there's no way to like bring more like mental awareness to technology if it's not implemented.
Mm-hmm. Well, you kind of touched on the third point that we're supposed to talk about, which is if you think about your role as an educator as one who inspires and transforms education, as per the Faculty of Education's motto, what content, competencies, practices, and so on could you adapt from the province's curriculum you reviewed to foster innovation in your classroom?
Mm-hmm. So that's adapting like Saskatchewan's curriculum. Is that what it means?
No, I think it's talking about BC's curriculum.
Oh, BC's. Okay.
So how could you adapt it to make it fit for a Saskatchewan classroom?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, like what's important with that is, first of all, like being able to find teachers who know enough about it to teach it and who are kind of passionate about teaching it. Because I know for me, even if I'm in a class that I don't really want to be in, like if the teacher's passionate about it, it always makes it better to learn.
Yeah.
And so, like, there was a class I took in high school that I just took because the teacher was good. And the teacher was happy to be teaching it and was excited about it. And so I think if students can build a connection with that, then we'd be able to have the classes because more people would be interested.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's also making it known to us as educators right now while we're in school, before we're even out in the classrooms teaching, making it known that we can access BC's curriculum and we can access Ontario's curriculum and see what kinds of things they have to offer. So if we bring this idea to a principal or to our superintendent and say, I'd really like to teach this class because I have so much interest, I would like to adapt it from BC's curriculum, you can at least have a starting point rather than just starting straight from scratch.
Yeah, and have something to build off of and get ideas from.
Yeah. So it's making sure that we as future educators know what there is out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't know that I could access BC's curriculum just like this.
Yeah.
And most people don't actually know that Saskatchewan's curriculum is kind of not the best.
Yeah.
Like I only know this because my roommate is she's from Alberta, and she worked as a TA in Alberta for a lot of years, and so she knows what the Alberta curriculum looks like in comparison to Saskatchewan's, and she's just like, it's ridiculous how horrible it is.
Yeah, no, even just looking at these other curriculums online, it's kind of shocking how much I didn't realize could be offered but isn't, you know?
Yeah.
Does anyone else have anything to add with that?
The last point that she wants us to talk about is how might some of these areas be addressed in the cross-curricular competencies? I think that kind of combines with a lot of what we're saying right now. So even if we're teaching a communication media class, just kind of looking at what else is out there that could connect to what we already have to teach. So maybe teaching them something from the robotics or from the remotely operated vehicles and drones course, integrated into the course that we're already teaching. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, just kind of, I think, taking our curriculum and then building off of it.
Yeah. We're supposed to be looking at K-3, not the high school. Oops.
For discussion?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I just noticed that.
Where does it say that?
Under readings, it says Group A, B, and C. BC's Applied Design Skills and Technologies Curriculum, A, K to 3.
Oh. Well, same thing.
Yeah, I think your points were all still.
Yeah, I think they're all still kind of valid. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, K to 3 isn't going to be as advanced. But I think with that, too, it's like if they start kind of learning about that stuff when they're young, then a lot of, like, students would want to be more involved once they're older. And so those classes could be made.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the really only difference is kind of like the difficulty with it, because you can still implement like different strategies of teaching and bringing in technology when they're young, just differently.
Yeah.
Because even now, if you look at most students, like maybe not in K to 3, but in elementary, all have iPads, cell phones. And for me, like, I don't think I ever had like even an iPod until I was in grade 6 or 7. Like, so you just look at that too.
Yeah. Well, my mom's grade 1-2 classroom, actually, they have iPads that they use in the classroom.
Yeah.
It's just funny because they know how to use iPads so well because they use them all the time.
Yeah.
But because they rarely spend time on computers or anything like that, they have no idea.
How to use a computer?
Yeah, it's like a totally different world for them.
That's crazy.
And it throws me off because I took computer classes when I was in elementary school. So
Yeah.
they taught us how to use a computer. And I think now it's kind of an expected knowledge that you're supposed to have.
Yeah.
Like, as a kid, you're supposed to know how to use a computer just because of the technology age that you've grown up in. But there's so
I
many
think.
that don't know this because they don't have computers.
Yeah.
So when you give them a mouse and you're just like, this is what you use to move the little cursor on the screen, and they're like,
or a keyboard.
I can't just touch it?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, you have to use the mouse. Why is it called a mouse? I don't know. It's just what it's called. I just want to touch it on the screen. It's like, but you can't. That's not how it works.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that, but that's a good point. Because I guess now it's kind of at that stage where, like people aren't really buying computers. Like some like laptops maybe for work and stuff, but
Yeah.
I think iPads are definitely more common now.
Okay. So we've got about 10-ish minutes left. Have a brief conversation to finalize the success criteria for documenting the learning section of the production product submit to your courses.
I think too, did it say to talk about those apps we had to post, or did we just have to post them?
No, we're just supposed to post them.
Okay. All right, so do we have to just come up with 5 as a group then?
Yeah. And so it's kind of like the same thing that we did for the Instructables video, but instead for the portion of where we're documenting our learning for the production project.
I think
Yeah.
you posted it on.
So I think only one of us has to post it, so who wants to record everything?
Ooh. I can write stuff down and then post it.
Okay.
Sorry, just a second. I gotta find a pen.
Pesky things, those pens, they just like to run away on you.
They really do, and I'm in bed right now, so I'll just use a pencil. Okay. So we are talking about success criteria for the instructional part, right?
No, the documentation of the learning. So the production project has 4 parts. There's the part where we're creating something, then the instructables part, and then the part where we're documenting our learning.
Oh, okay.
So part 4?
Okay, hold on. I'm just
gonna part 4. So students should produce 2 videos wherein they reflect on and or document their learning over the course of the project. 1 video should be recorded at the beginning of the project and another at the end. As a guide, each video should be about 5 minutes in length. Below are some questions to consider and speak to during your videos. So there's a bunch of questions. What do I know at this stage in the process? Oh my God.
Yeah.
What do I want to know or need to know in order to move forward? What gaps in my learning am I most concerned about? What challenges do I foresee in moving forward? Did I get stuck anywhere? What was the largest challenge I encountered in this stage of the process? And so on and so forth.
I think a lot of success criteria could be similar to what we talked about in our class on Wednesday.
Yeah.
For kind of like the video part of that. Like having like being clear and concise and with delivery and tone and etc.
Yeah. So if we just kind of like jot those down, so what would be considered like good content to have in your video? So you want to be like clear and concise, but clear and concise about what?
So I would say having like a strong intro. Like, so explaining what you're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe that goes with like organization.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that anytime you're presenting something, like, and in this sense, like showing what you've learned, I think you should always kind of start by like explaining what you're going to be talking about.
Okay, so step 1, have an introduction. I almost want to say like have answered a minimum of 2 to 3 questions.
Yeah.
Because it says students do not need to respond to all of them in a single video, but you don't want to spend the entire video talking about one question.
Yeah. Okay,
So
I'll
making
put,
sure that you answer multiple questions, not just one.
yeah. So I'll say answer at least 2 to 3. Okay. I would say because this is comparing at the beginning of your project and at the end, right?
Yeah.
So I would say like a demonstration that I don't know how to explain it, but like demonstrating that like how far you've come from that point. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Well, that's kind of in some of the questions that she has, because she has like, did I get stuck anywhere? What was the largest challenge? Did I have any breakthroughs? That kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Okay.
She has that there's like a maximum length. It should be at least 5 minutes, or like at most 5 minutes, but they should be probably at least 4.
Yeah.
Because if you're answering 2 to 3 questions with an introduction, that's 30 seconds to do your introduction, a minute for each question, and then 30 seconds to do a conclusion.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe put
Minimum of 4 minutes.
yeah.
We should also put that there should be a conclusion as well.
Yeah. We could have that as our last point.
Yeah. So we have an introduction, answering 2 to 3 questions, being clear and concise.
I put the clear and concise in with the intro.
Okay. Minimum of 4 minutes. So we need at least one other point.
Yeah.
What about the video being good quality? Was that one?
I think she kind of said that with that, like you can't really count that as a success criteria just because some students don't have access to that.
Yeah.
And so it's not really fair if you're, like if it's unrealistic for some people.
What about the one where, like, including text in your video? Would you? I don't know. She has under like week 17. She has a posting, or week 3 from September 19. She has a instructable success criteria draft on there, and there's some points in there. Do you guys see it?
Oh, this is where we put our success criteria, isn't it?
I think so, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I think because this is for the instructables, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
ours is for the
we're looking at the
documenting
documentation of the learning.
so it'd be different. I think. We could just make like the clear and concise. We could kind of make that its own thing. Like kind of have like being clear, concise, and organized, maybe.
For our groups, when we were looking at success criteria, we talked about having a visual representation of what you're talking about. So maybe having like, I don't know, because we're working with objects, maybe having the object that you're talking about somewhere in the video so that people know what you're talking about.
So maybe like including your artifact.
Yeah. And we also have staying on topic and keeping a good pace. So I think the staying on topic should be with our intro as well.
Okay. Okay, and then so for the fourth one, do we want to say include your artifact?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because are there any questions really about that?
Not really.
Yeah.
For that portion, it doesn't really ask you anything about your artifact.
Okay, so I'll say include, because I guess it could just be like a picture of it, but
it would still be including your artifact.
yeah, so include artifact. I guess there's not really much else to explain that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then how do we want to describe the conclusion?
Just having a conclusion, making sure to tie together everything that was said in your video.
Okay, so I'll just put strong conclusion.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's 5.
We could also add, like, making sure that it's not spur of the moment.
So kind of like planned out.
Yeah. Make sure to have a plan. So that you're not just, like, turning on your camera and then just, like, rambling on and on and on.
That could probably go with the intro too, hey?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, even if you just did, like, a point before the intro that just says, have a plan. Step 1, have a plan.
So then we'd have 6 things. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I'll post this. Do I just say like group A?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll see if I can do that. No, I think there's just a link.
Yeah, it's right at the bottom.
Oh, so do I have to make like a Google Doc?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's an actual, like, submit thing.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna email her and see if he wants us all to submit something, or if just one of us can submit for all of us.
Yeah, I think it's fine if just one does, because there's also that link like to submit the video, and obviously not everyone can submit that.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure, but it doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can type that out after though and
Is
submit
there
it.
anything that anybody else wanted to talk about while we're here? Any questions that anybody had?
I don't think so.
Anything in particular that came up in your meeting with Christine?
I don't think so. She did say she was gonna post that the lecture video we're supposed to watch. I think she's posting that tomorrow.
All right.
But yeah, because when I talked to her, she said she wasn't finished it yet.
Cool.
So we'll see with that. Yeah, I think we kind of touched on everything that needs to be going into the meeting tomorrow or on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think that'll work well.
Yeah.
All right. Good meeting with y'all.
And then I guess our meeting next week is shortened, right?
I think so, because we actually have, we're supposed to meet with group D as well at some point.
Yeah. Is that for like our just discussion groups, or is that for the actual meeting?
It's weekly meeting discussion between group A and group D. She actually has a start time for that.
Yeah, so that's on the Wednesday then. Like that's instead of meeting with her.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and then it says that for our discussion group, it says it's shorter, so 30 to 45 minutes. So.
Perfect. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Nice, quick meeting.
Yeah.
Yay.
All right, well, I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Virtually see you guys.